Hi, it's Collette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I am here to give you this week's energy forecast. Well, I'm sure we're all feeling the distinct change in energy. It is very, feeling for us. Like there's a distinct energy that you will be able to trace with your own, tuning in as to what that distinct energy feels like for you. Now, for me, it's combined with the feeling of spring because of where I am in the world, and France has burst into its colours of spring already. And there's also just this wind of change. Now, what I don't really like to do is put lots of words in people's mouths, but I want you to tune into what you're feeling in that feeling of change. What does that feel like for you? What does it look like? What are you intuiting and sensing? Because we are in the eclipse portal right now, and we're coming up to, lots of things that want to support us in change. So today, for example, we're seeing that the Leo moon opposes Pluto. And this is a time like today, we should be getting some really deep emotional insights. It there's a lot of emotion about. I know I've been super more emotional this week, and I've been thinking, oh, I wonder what's demanding these emotions that are coming up. And I know that emotion always leads us closer to the soul. I know that emotion is super critical in being able to release past energies, hurts, pains, all the other plethora of things that, have us in feeling as human beings that encompass our relationships and our work and our general life. So emotions are going to be big at the beginning of this week. The emotions lead us to many things. I think the foundational work that I ever did was in emotions. So it was all about thinking about how emotions are suppressed in our system and how releasing them relieves us from uh, suppression, depression, and brings in new energy and brings in a new libido, a new force of life within us. So that's why emotional, regulation as well as expression is vital for any of us on a deep spiritual path. And I invite you to really allow the emotions through this week. It's going to bring us into some personal truths. So, things that we don't particularly want to know about ourselves, truths about our financial situation or our work situation or a relationship situation. What is the truth that you know that you don't want to feel? And why do you not want to feel it or face it? So, if we can honor that, we can come into pretty transformational energies. Looking at Tuesday, we've got Mercury and Venus in line with Aries, and this is sparking the chance for us to have dynamic conversations with creative ideas. It's a time to blend your intellect, your mind, with your passion, and we can't get to passion and we can't get to creativity if we're blocked up with emotion. And that's why it's really important today, early this week, to release those emotions that are still coming up because they're actually preventing you from dropping into the more creative part of you. And I think this week we'll be looking at like who do we need to speak to about what we want to do, where we want to go, what creative ideas are living in you. It doesn't matter what part of life you're in, if you're retired, if you're starting out, if you're middle-aged. Creativity is vital for all souls. And I'm going to ask, are you being creative? Don't just go to your go-to. Yeah, yeah, I sing in a band. Yeah, I draw pictures. Yeah, I make art. Like go deeper than that. Go to a deeper space and say, how can I be more creative? What creativity can I bring into my life? That's the kind of energy that this wants you to bring in the new, not the already doing, but the new. And anything that blends intelligence with passion is going to be a win-win situation. It really is. We then move on to say Wednesday, and the Virgo moon is emphasizing attention to details and practical matters. It's really about us having this deeper understanding of practical matters and how practical matters, getting our stuff in line, affects us spiritually and emotionally. So you might find yourself like nesting or doing a bit of tidying or clearing up or maybe starting to spring clean or paint. It's all in this new energy. What needs revitalizing, what wants to feel new. I know this weekend I spent the time to I've been painting and I've just spent some time in reorganizing. I've taken down winter curtains. I'm putting up the spring. I'm just inviting the energy of the new in and doing that in a really practical way. So, organizing, paperwork, all things like that will make you feel better and will allow a new embracing of energy to come in. And we're going to see that happen this week. The eclipse is obviously super important on the 14th. This marks an 18-year cycle. So we're looking back to March 2007 when there was another eclipse and what was happening to you then, what was opening up. And as we come into this cycle, what's changing? I know that there was deep change brewing inside me in 2007 as it is right now. So it's a good ride of, oh my gosh, my soul's creating change to ride on because yeah, it is. You are not going to hang on to the old self. You're trying to reclaim a newer version of yourself. And what I'm feeling about this eclipse specifically is really feeling into that, past decisions you've made, past things you've done. Really see that as the past. Like, don't be doing the things you have been doing. Take each of these transformations as the opportunity to do things really newly, like to start to look at overhaul of life, like what can I bring in new, what isn't working, what needs to change. And that's certainly knocking on my door. Like I've lived a certain way for the last 7 years. And now I need to scrap that. I need to live a different way. And what is that asking me to do? So just think of the way that you've been operating, not as a critical way, but as a way that served the old you. And if you are to embrace the new version of you, new habits, new structures, new routines, new hobbies, new likes need to come in so that indeed you can be reinvented. And this is going to be a higher version of you. We're always in these cycles of reinventing themselves, moving from the lower self to the higher self. Spiritual awakening, spiritual ascension is constantly in that cycle of reinventing, of bringing in the new, of constantly thinking we are always trying to evolve and be better and do better and live better. It's a really beautiful feeling to feel that you potentially always can reclaim your deepest spiritual self and the person that you were here to be, that person that is here to transform, to confront specifically on this eclipse, hidden feelings. Now, I love sharing this. This is kind of the crux of my work, is trying to dig in people with them to go into the deeper part of their psyche, the part they haven't claimed, the part of them that they're scared to admit. Okay, sod it. I want to travel the world. I want to go live on a yacht. I want to live in the Caribbean islands. All of those things that we reclaim because we're scared. And because the lower self often will say things like, you got too many responsibilities. Oh, you got 3 dogs. Oh, you've got not enough money. All of that is all the lower self speaking because it brings us into intellect rather than passion and feeling and that inner spiritual motivation that says, okay, this is what I want and I'm going to make it happen. And that's a completely different wind of energy to say that to yourself. Okay, I'm going to make this happen. So what would happen if you did say that to yourself? If you were to say, I'm going to make that happen. Interesting. And also, question you should start to dig into during this week. What am I scared of admitting? And what are the first steps or even the first thoughts about making that happen, because the eclipses are all about ushering in the new. The Venus retrograde is happening during this eclipse, and so is the Mercury retrograde. So we know that we're going a little bit backwards, but backwards means to review. It means to look back at what didn't work, what needs to change, what you've been through, what it's trying to do to you, how it's trying to help you. The astrology, the cosmos, the great mother is always trying to help us, and we must remember that as we go through these cycles. We must embrace the transformative energies of the eclipse, of the retrogrades, because they're just trying for us to get rid of what isn't working for us anymore and to review ourselves. And I think as we come into Venus with Mercury, we're being asked to review our relationships, the way we've related, how we want to relate in the future, whether that's with a new love or a love that we're with. It's totally re-establishing the relationship you're in and saying, okay, this isn't working. This isn't working. How can we make this work? This is what I want. The radical review needs to be done whether you're in relationship or not. So I've got kind of three areas here that I want to be working with women. And that's number one, if you're in a relationship, it's time to review it. What do you feel isn't working? What would you really love in that relationship? And are you brave enough to review it and just say, oh, well, we're diddling along. Who wants to diddle along? Definitely not me. So have a think about your current relationship. How could it be reviewed? How could it be better? How could it embrace all the things that you think a relationship should be? Number two, if you're in a new or inviting in a new relationship, what mistakes from the past do you refuse to bring into this new relationship? Write them down, make them known. Don't be the old self in relating, be the new one. And then if you're not related and you're struggling to find relationship, what is it that you need to change that isn't inviting in relating with another? And until you do that, you will remain single. And I do this with a lot with women. There's a lot of women who are not in relationship that long for a relationship. And we can't just dilly-dally with that. We need to hit it on the head. What is it in you that is blocking you from relating? That's really worth looking into. But this is all about self-love. It's about regaining your worthiness, knowing what you want and that you have the potential to get it. And that's what this whole week, it's a powerful week. It really is. And are you going to just sit around and watch TV and scratch your butt and not do anything that would help you work with this really deep transformative energy? Or you're going to sit in review. Maybe you write a list of the things that you're not going to do in relationship, that you don't want to continue with in life, in work, in all of it. Take it all. Take a big piece of the cake and say, I'm changing it all, and see what happens. Because I'm telling you, March is one of the trickiest, deepest months of this year. We're going to find that this month is the springboard for the rest of the year. So what you're going to do with it, and this week is super, super powerful, packed with a punch to help you launch into March and then into the rest of the year. So make it clear. Ask yourself, what do I want? How do I want to love, relate, work, live? If you ask yourself those and you can be truly honest with yourself and what isn't working, then we're going to invite in deep change and you can call in the life that you've always wanted. So I want to just leave it there in regards to the energy forecast, but to just share that I launched my womb alchemy this month. March was the month that I knew that this course would be launched, because I know that women are seeking a deep relationship into self. It's all fair and well, isn't it, talking about the planet and making spiritual progress, but unless we make the unconscious conscious, it's not going to happen. And I know that's not easy personally. I have to be in a container of work and also be working with an analyst. And I offer that container for women in a more spiritual setup. Having done a lot of Jungian individuation work over the last 5 years, it's been super powerful working with one-to-one in with an analyst and then in a Jungian psychological group. But I've really missed the deep spiritual container that's based in feminine mysteries. And so it had me thinking, what do I do about that? Well, I'm going to create it. And that's exactly what I've done. I've created a container that offers the Magnus Opus, the stages of alchemy, usually done in a masculine way. Let me tell you that, through the feminine route, through the womb, which I believe is the true route of enlightenment for women, embodiment, and spiritual evolution. And we go through an intense 13 months of the alchemical process that all the philosophers, all the psychologists have deemed as the deepest work of the soul. It wasn't easy creating the course. It was blood, sweat, and tears. And I felt like giving up at one point is how do I make this very masculine process into a feminine process, especially into a womb container? I've done it. And so that will start at the end of this month. I've got some beautiful women already signed up, and I invite you to connect to me if you feel the calling to do this. It's not for everybody. And so we best speak about that to see if this course is for you. And I'm always, always open to support women do this course uh, who may not have the funds. I have reduced this significantly. My courses are double the price that I am asking for this course because I really want to make it accessible. But if that still doesn't work for you, I'm happy to extend payments, anything that works to support women who are on and committed and devoted. And that's the key here because you've got to be committed and devoted to be able to do this course. So, yeah, I will put the link under for the Womb Alchemy course. You've got another week or so of the early bird offer, and I am really inviting you to step up. There's no other time like this time to step into a body of work that's really asking you to transform. It will support you on your journey of transformation, and you won't dilly-dally, as I use the word, along anymore. You will see a clear path, a clear route, a clear structure, and know that your practices every day are contributing to you evolving spiritually and living the life you were here to live. So I wish you all well for the week. Enjoy this energy. I certainly will be spending lots of time in reflection and connection to it. So bye for now.